What's up, everybody? Welcome into Driving the Line NBA React. My name is Allan Bell, and we are going to do just that. React to the Minnesota Timberwolves jumping all over the Oklahoma City Thunder in a game 3 of the Western Conference Finals, winning said game 143 to 101. But in this show, what we're going to do is quickly but thoroughly break down exactly why the Timberwolves had such success against the Thunder in game 3, what to expect in game 4, and also look at it from a betting perspective. So let's jump in here and break down exactly why. Now, you see, again, Timberwolves won 143-101. OKC still leads the series 2-1. Game 4 is on Monday, all right, the 26th. We'll have that game solo running for game 4 in Minnesota. But that's the score. Let's take a look at what we had first from a betting perspective here. Let me pull that back up. Yes, you will see the over 217 and a half easily clears. And then the Timberwolves plus 3.5. The home team has covered in all 3 of said games so far. You can see the public here. Pre-game, all right, 51% of the bets across America, courtesy of BetMGM, we're on the Thunder, minus 3.5. You can see the total over 83% of the bets, and moneyline bets, 53% were on the Minnesota Timberwolves at plus 125. But let's break down why and how the Timberwolves jumped all over the Thunder in game 3. You can see the arrows here. And look, we're going to look at the statistics, but we're going to explain why these statistics were so much really not helpful, but how did Minnesota get such higher percentages, numbers, etc.? All right, so you see field goal percentage. Minnesota shoots 57.3%. Oklahoma City 40.7% from 3. Oklahoma City was 14 of 44. That's going to play into a lot of it. In Minnesota, 20 of 40. All right, so you can see 31.8% from 3 for Oklahoma City, 50% for Minnesota. Again, go down to the rebounds. 50 rebounds for Minnesota, 31 for Oklahoma City. And you look at it offensively and defensively, Minnesota owned it. 11 offensive rebounds compared to 5, and 39 defensive rebounds compared to 26. But what I want to break down, and we'll take a look at these stats, all right, and how they play into it. But what I want to break down is this. First off, 3-pointers, okay? Yes, you will see Minnesota shot much better from 3 than Oklahoma City did. But how and why was it so effective? And I'll explain exactly why. Go back and look early in this game, okay, at how many 3-pointers, even long twos, were shot by Oklahoma City and missed and turned around to a defensive rebound by Minnesota, and then Minnesota knocking down their own 3. That was a key to getting Oklahoma City out of this game as early as possible. And Minnesota ran with that. You saw leads huge. I think the largest lead Minnesota had was 42 points. All right. There was 35 there in the first half. I mean, Minnesota jumped all over Oklahoma City in exactly what they wanted to do against a Thunder team that's arguably been the best first half team in the NBA. But again, that is what Minnesota did. They took advantage of Oklahoma City missing threes, missing long shots, long rebounds, all right, in transition, and not necessarily fast break points, because you can see, we'll pull the stats up right here, all right? Oklahoma City actually led in fast break points, right? But they're not even turnovers. You can see the total turnovers there. And points conceded off a turnover. It's pretty even, 16 and 15. But it was missed shots by Oklahoma City and Minnesota knocking them down. Specifically, miss a 3, nail a 3. That's what they did. Now, I also want to highlight, you see assists. Minnesota, 30 assists in this game as a team to Oklahoma City's 19. This is absolutely massive. Absolutely massive. And you see the points in the paint, 56 points for Minnesota, 42 for Oklahoma City. And at the bottom, you can see largest lead, 45 points for Minnesota. 4-point lead for Oklahoma City early in this game. Boy, that was wiped out quick. But go back to two things are absolutely what led to Minnesota jumping all over it. Okay. The threes, Oklahoma City missing said threes, Minnesota grabbing the board, taking the ball down, and drilling their own, and essentially creating what you might look at as a 6-point play. Now, it doesn't always add up that way, right? Missed shots are going to happen, and it's going to come back opposite. It's basketball. But Minnesota was knocking it down early. And we spoke about it on Driving the Line Saturday's morning show. All right. Many hours before said game was played. That if Oklahoma City were getting blown out, look for their starters to kind of sit. And I think with 4 minutes left in the third quarter, SGA was out, right? Oklahoma City kind of followed that playbook. Their shots weren't falling, all right? Their shots weren't falling, and Minnesota was clearly, when you're shooting 50% from three and you shot 40 threes, all right, you're doing something right. But again, it was the transition threes that absolutely took Oklahoma City out of this game, all right? And then also you see the assist and you see the points in the paint. Now, not a huge discrepancy, 56 to 42. All right, 14 points. Yeah, I mean, there's a difference there. But if you're Oklahoma City and you're knocking down your threes, man, that's whatever, right? It's not a huge deal. But it was the distribution for Minnesota. All right, the Timberwolves did to Oklahoma City what Oklahoma City usually does to everyone else. We're going to go back through the bets here in just a second, but just take a look, all right, at Minnesota's depth that they had tonight. All right. And specifically look at it from threes. Okay. Julius Randle, 2 threes. Jaden McDaniels, 2 threes. All right. Rudy Gobert, he didn't shoot any. Mike Conley, 2 threes. Anthony Edwards, 5. All right. That was big after going 1 from 9 in the previous game. All right. Miller had a 3. Garza had a 3. Naz Reid had 2. DiVincenzo had 2. All right. Your boy, all right, Alexander Walker had 2. Terrence Shannon Jr., 1. There you go. All right. That many different guys knocking down threes. And that's just threes. We're not even talking about field goals. We're not even talking about points. But that is how and why Minnesota won this game, and they won it in blowout fashion. They took Oklahoma City right out of it. All right. Right out of the game. And they had to do it. I mean, down 2-0 in the series, playing your first game at home. I mean, it's pretty much a must-win game. You go down 3-0, it's over. It's done. Now, game 4 is in Minnesota, as we spoke about, on the 26th. But let's go back and look. Okay, so player points for Minnesota. Here is why so much distribution was great, because, look, you're not going to have a ton of guys. It's not like every single player for Minnesota hit their prop bets, right? Anthony Edwards goes over 27.5. Randall goes over 18.5. All right. Alexander Walker goes over 7.5. Rudy Gobert barely goes over 6.5, right? But it wasn't like everybody was just drilling their overs. Now, look at threes. There you go. That's what did it. Now, Dante DiVincenzo over 2.5. He missed that by 1. He had 2 threes in this game. But look, Anthony Edwards over. Naz Reid over. All right, just all the way down the list. Solid performance and multiple guys doing it. That is how you attack Oklahoma City. You beat them at their own game. Okay, that's how you get down with it. So let's take it to game 4. Here's the opening lines. All right, again, in Minnesota, the Thunder lead the series 2-1. Thunder 3.5-point favorites, total of 218.5. Now compare it to this game right here. And again, Thunder minus 3.5, total 217.5. So really not much changed. All right, from game 3 to game 4, even with the blowout, the books still have it basically the exact same heading in. Now, it'll move, right? But again, go back and look at your percentages, pre-game bets of what the public did. You see at the bottom here, okay? 51% were on the spread with the Thunder. 53% were on the money line with the Timberwolves plus 125. 83% were on the over. Absolutely nailed that one. So, taking a look here at game 4, what do I think Minnesota and Oklahoma City are going to do in regards to this game? Okay. How do they come out? How does Oklahoma City bounce back? Take the game 3 or take the series 3-1, right? headed back to OKC. Minnesota, plus 3.5. How do they even this series up? Win their 2 here at home in the first 4 games. What you're going to see is Oklahoma City either do one of 2 things. They're going to come out firing threes, all right, saying, hey, we had a bad game shooting. We were out of it early in this game, couldn't catch back up, couldn't hit anything, okay? Or number 2, what they're going to do is they're going to limit their threes early, and they're going to limit, quite frankly, the time of possession for Minnesota. Don't get me wrong, Oklahoma City would be aggressive offensively in this scenario, but looking to take the ball to the rack, all right, get points early, force the pressure back on Minnesota. Playing at home, all right, they cannot go down 3-1. The pressure is on Minnesota here. If the Thunder lose, fine. 2-2, whatever. Even series, you got 2 or 3 at home, let it rip, okay? But the Timberwolves cannot go down 3-1. Can't do it. So expect the Thunder to be aggressive, but be smart. You could see a lower scoring first quarter. You might see a lower scoring first half. Can Minnesota come out and shoot the way that they did? All right, now, if you're looking at it from the Timberwolves perspective, all right, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, you're going to have to play defense, all right, but what you want to do is essentially a form of what the Timberwolves did in game 3, all right? You want to force Oklahoma City to shoot from outside or take bad shots the perimeter, right? Whatever you have to do, get them to miss shots. Grab rebounds early, take the ball down, all right? Now, I don't know if Minnesota's going to try firing threes again. They might. I mean, if it works again, it works again. But what you want to do is you want to get points, and you want to force it again on the Thunder because you want to take them out of their game. You want to change the way that they take players, starters in and out of said games. And if you can get them in foul trouble, it would be huge, huge. Expect Minnesota to try to do that, try to force it in the paint early. And if they do, and you start getting Thunder starters, all right, picking up ticky-tack fouls, and you're hitting your free throws, oh, that is golden for Minnesota. Golden, but we will see. Because, again, they were drilling threes. Now, the problem, all right, you can see the spread. You guys all see it. The problem is that if you're Minnesota and you come out and you're firing threes left and right and not hitting them, you're handing it right to Oklahoma City to do what they do. That is the name of the game. And that's the name of the series right there. So let's end it with a good stat. All right, we're 3 games into this series. The over's 2-1. Both the Thunder and Timberwolves now in their last 5. All right, 4-1 to the over. Now, 2 games are in the series. 2 games are previous. All right, they have been scoring points left and right, both of them. But take a look at the first half. And again, I'm not saying that it's guaranteed to happen, but what I'm saying is that playing with a lead and playing fundamental basketball, and what I mean by that again, high percentage shots, getting points up, forcing the pressure, especially if you're Oklahoma City. Can you force the pressure on Minnesota? Can you, as the Thunder, play with a lead, force Minnesota maybe to take an extra shot here, maybe a little too deep, extra shot there, maybe, turn around, fade like you're Kobe Bryant, right? Like you want to force Minnesota to take low percentage shots and essentially do exactly to them what the Timberwolves just did to you if you're the Thunder. Now, if you're Minnesota, again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if you come out firing threes, you need to hit them. If you notice early that you are not hitting them, do not keep firing and letting Oklahoma City lead, increasing. You do not want to play that game. All right. So expect Minnesota to come out, shoot them. I mean, both teams will. Like these teams shoot, you just saw it right there. All right. They shoot a lot of threes. Okay. But you have to be knocking them down and you have to knock them down early. So that is going to be the name of the game. Time of possession is going to be the name of the game in game 4. So don't be surprised if you do see a little bit of, more time being taken per possession. Now, again, doesn't mean the under is going to come over. Both teams are doing that and hitting shots. 218 and a half is going to be laughable. But I would expect this series try to get a little defensive. And if there's going to be a game for that, this one is it right here. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to fouls. Pay attention to who is knocking down their free throws as well. All right. That's it, everybody. Great game 3. Even though it was a blowout, hey, got a series. All right. Got a series now. Let's see what we get. So for Driving the Line, my name is Allan Bell. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.